Okay, so kind of a bit of a new thing we're doing today. This is actually something I wanted to kind of cover out. This happened while I was away at Hololive, and with the just general week of everything going, I kind of want to talk about this. So, what we are talking about today is actually a video by the Critical Drinker. Generally enjoy watching his stuff, basically in response to a statement Disney made about trying to get young boys back, although the young male audience, back to Disney things, because it seems they've realized that they have distanced themselves, and now they're actually starting to feel the pain of when you tell an entire generation of male audience to hack off and you're the problem. So, I haven't seen this video yet, but heard a lot of good about it, saw Asmongold reacted to it, and I thought maybe it's time that we do a reaction thing as well. First, I'm doing a proper react, so let's get into it.
But every once in a while, I'll stumble on a news article so brain-meltingly, soul-crushingly stupid that the only socially acceptable response is...
Many such cases.
Such was the case yesterday with this absolute corker from Variety, that always reliable bastion of respectable, impartial journalism.
You don't hate journalists enough. Yes.
Disney's Boy Trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid...
Okay, here's the problem with this. There's two things I see this. There's two ways I see this. If they say original IP, it means either they fundamentally do not understand what the appeal of the old IP thing is. Right now, they own some of the most marketable male properties there are. They own Marvel. They own Star Wars. They own Alien, Predator, Terminator. They got all that through Fox. Now they bought the Fox studio in order to get the remaining Marvel characters, but they own those as well. They own quite literally, like, if the Infinity Stones were, like, IPs of genres, Disney has all of them. They own all the stuff that guys basically like to watch, except for, like, giant monsters and robots. Like, something that can fall into those. And the fact that they have them, and they have the blueprints, and they refuse to use them, that is the biggest problem. So it means they either fundamentally don't understand what the appeal is to younger men, or hopefully they realize the damage they have done to them and they need to create an original IP in order to draw attention because the well is so poisoned of what they currently have. Both of these have massive issues.
Marvel, Lucasfilm struggles.
You had my curiosity. But now you have my attention.
Indeed they do.
Leadership at Walt Disney Studios has been pressing Hollywood creatives in recent months. Multiple
the other problem of this,
tell Variety.
The other problem of this entire thing is this. The Hollywood creatives, this has been going on for a decade at this point, so all the Hollywood creatives are the same ones that have been doing the same things that Disney has been doing. The stuff that is antithetical to the appeal of young men. The whole,
for movies that will bring young men
so all
back
the Hollywood
to the brand
creatives
in a meaningful way.
Do not understand.
Oh, really?
What
Tell me,
guys want.
Why would you have to do something like that? I mean, you've spent years telling us that men are irrelevant now, that nobody needs or wants those mean, stinky boys polluting culture with their toxic masculinity, that male and pale is stale, that the future is female. Why do you care about attracting men to your brand all of a sudden?
Yep. Like, apparently, like, Thunderbolts actually wasn't that bad. But again, it is because the well has been so poisoned of Marvel. No one is interested in an appreciable capacity. Because remember, it's not just they have to earn back their budget. They need to earn back the budget, the advertising budget, and half of all money that is generated at a movie theater goes to the theater. So say a movie costs $200 million to make. Its advertising budget, which is generally modeled as being either half to the same price of the budget again, so either 1.5 to 2 times the production budget is the actual budget plus advertising. So a movie, $200 million to produce, $100 million advertising budget, $300 million in order to actually, total budget, would need to, at the box office, make $600 million to break even. Because again, half of the money goes to the theater. If you have a movie that hits like $400 million, you are not achieving that. And because this is Disney, they advertise a lot more.
Fuck. And therein lies the rub, dear viewer. You might utterly despise men and everything they represent, but when it comes to that increasingly uncomfortable meeting with the accountants every few months, well, it turns out that you kind of need them, especially young men who seem to be quite a powerful demographic these days. Let's see what else this stunning and brave article has to say, shall we? Numerous studies show that Gen Z men in particular are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who were hampered in their formative years by COVID-19 lockdowns.
Even now, they are still being dismissive of men. It's like you're calling them lonely, you're calling them gaming-obsessed, you're being dismissive and continuing to punch down on them. It's like, this is the reason why, men have basically abandoned a lot of these properties. It's at every turn, even when you are trying to extend the hand to them, you're still punching them with the other hand. Again, to say nothing of the fact that for theoretically Disney to even do this, will need to be a bare minimum of like a decade-long plan, like a minimum decade, half a decade. Because how long does it take to make a movie? How long does it take to take an IP from inception concept to finished film, finished TV show? Average is about 3 years for a movie to be made. So, what? Writing, revising, planning, everything, even though that's a year. 4 years from start to finish. This is going to
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there before this journalistic retardation goes any further. Let's be clear about one thing. Young men were not hampered in their formative years by the lockdowns, or the patriarchy, or global warming, or social injustice, or any of the other bullshit excuses you're going to try to throw in to obfuscate the truth. They were hampered by an entertainment media complex that spent...
This is what I've been saying. This is what I have been saying. This is why I love Critical Drinker. The guy's got a way with words and a combination of eloquence and brutalness. It's beautiful.
Most of the past decade systematically trying to obliterate them from modern culture. They've been berated, insulted, deconstructed.
Remember, force is female, everyone. Force is female. Remember that.
Mocked, lectured, misrepresented, gaslit into believing their every natural instinct was wrong and evil, and simultaneously labelled as useless and irrelevant, but also somehow the cause of every negative thing that ever happened.
Which is entirely a contradictory statement. To be useless means you can't do anything, you have no effect on anything, you are pointless. To have, the root of all ills means you have massive influence that can extend to everything, meaning... If that's the case, why has things changed?
In the world, depending on which explanation is most expedient.
I'm so fucking tired. I thought I just needed a night's sleep, but it's more than that.
And every single time they've dared to defend themselves or push back in this completely one-sided war, they've been dismissed as sexist, misogynistic idiots and bullied or attacked into silence.
Case in point. Anytime anything Disney related got pushback for some of their movies, they've always said, oh, it's just trolls online, it's just Russian bots. Remember that. When the Last Jedi happened, and that thing got just freaking blasted, they said it was Russian bots that were review bombing it, and were the ones that are creating all the discourse. They trotted that out again for what, The Acolyte? For... numerous cases of it. The Marvels did the same thing when that movie failed. The chronic inability to just take a step back and say, you know what? Maybe we didn't do a good job with this. And they trot out the same excuse of the Russian bots over and over and over again. The lack of accountability is also what alienates people. It drives them away because you're insulting them. You are taking things that they have loved and just mutilating them.
Is it really that much of a surprise that after all of this,
Especially
after
when a lot of
realizing
these
the
things-
deck is so hopelessly stacked against them, that not only can they never be allowed to win, but they'll be actively punished for even trying in the first place, they finally decided, fuck it, I'm just not playing anymore. And they hit back with the most powerful weapon left in their arsenal,
Monies.
their wallets. If companies like Disney decide to use their platform to beat young...
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about a lot of these things, like a lot of what Disney does best, is like basically a generational market. You had like the princess stories that they had, because most of their brands are actually girl brands, which is why they try to convert a lot of the stuff from Marvel and Star Wars into girl brands to appeal to them, because that's what their bread and butter is. The reason why those things had such a long-standing hold is because you had parents, mothers, even fathers, who saw the fairy tales, those stories that Disney made, fairy tales that they made into animated adaptations, and they showed them, they saw those when they were kids from their parents, even their grandparents, and then they showed them to their kids. It was a generational passing on of these movies, of these series, which kept investment going. Now, they have an entire generation that just cut out a massive... They've even damaged their own fairy tale adaptations, where... Even Marvel itself is the same way. I have a good friend who, before Disney ever bought Marvel, his father is a huge fan of Marvel, X-Men, and went over to his house. They got comics all over the place. And his father passed that love down to him. And now, it's gone. Because of what Disney has done. They have basically decapitated one link of that chain. And when that chain breaks, you can't really continue on from it. Which is why then they have to go with that new IP thing.
Men over the head with the message that everything male is inherently bad, then I guess young men just won't watch their stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's not exactly rocket science, but holy fuck. This article and others like it will explore every possible explanation except the simplest and most obvious one. And I think we know why. It actually kind of reminds me of all those articles cropping up on feminist websites these days decrying the lack of male attention after those very same sites spent years complaining about men being too forward, too assertive, too interested,
it's like
too
both
creepy,
sides can't
and gosh
win.
darn it, why can't they just leave us all alone? Gee, I wonder why they're not interested in dating anymore.
Yeah.
It's a total mystery to me too, ladies. The irony is that Disney already had access to some of the biggest and most successful male-focused brands in history. And yes, both Star Wars and Marvel were decidedly male brands.
What is it, guys, like?
That doesn't mean the ladies
fights.
couldn't enjoy them too, and many did in fact, but if I had to choose a gender most likely to gravitate towards a franchise about space...
Again, there are definitely
battles,
women that enjoy stuff like Star Wars, enjoy stuff like Marvel. There's women that love Godzilla, Transformers. It's like, it exists. Good writing basically transcends all. It's the reason why stuff like Godzilla -1 did so well. But at its core, men and women like different genres. They like different things. It's the reason why when it came to G.I. Joe, guys, guys watched predominantly My Little Pony, Barbie. They watched that, girls watched that. Some guys watched, My Little Pony and Barbie. Some girls watch Transformers, watch G.I. Joe, and watch Godzilla. It's like, there is crossover. But it's something like maybe... It's like an 80-20 split, like at absolute best.
Adventure, ships and technology, heroism and epic struggles for the fate of the universe.
Those are the things that appeal to the core. Like, I'm probably gonna make a whole video separate on this because, like, I'm thinking of so many different things. I'm not gonna be able to get it down right now. But like, the core male essence of entertainment is that it is adventure. It is heroism. It is courage. And it's like.
Yeah, it's gonna be men.
Strong,
and that right there is perfectly okay. Men are allowed to have stuff that they like, and a lot of the time, that stuff is going to be quite different from what women like. The problem is that only one side is ever expected to compromise and make concessions to accommodate the other. And I'll give you a little hint here. It's not women. Like, could you imagine for 1 second if they did a reboot of Sex and the City? Sorry, wait, another reboot. Only this time half the female characters were gender swapped, the glamour and sophistication of the New York social scene was replaced with muscle cars and guns and girls in bikinis, and every episode had to include some tedious subtext about how difficult modern life is for men to navigate.
This sounds kind of like just like a slightly more romance version of Fast and the Furious, honestly.
I don't think it would go down very well. But there seems to be this weird cultural taboo around the idea of male-focused anything now, like catering specifically to men as a demographic is some moral crime that has to be addressed and corrected, instead of a smart and logical business decision from a company that should be all about giving the customer what they want. In the case of those male-oriented franchise that used to be a license to print money, because they used to understand their customers.
Even during, like, you know, the Disney era of the downfall, which a lot of people will point to basically started back in 2014, they still made some great movies, like Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War. They had good movies that they produced in between. Even recently, they had good movies with Spider-Man No Way Home. It shows that they know how to do it. It was simply a conscious choice not to, which is even more insidious.
The problem wasn't just the clunky attempts to court a female audience with a sudden influx of pandering, poorly written girl bosses who could magically do anything and were always right about everything. Even women hated that shit because they were more than...
And it's not that guys don't like female characters. Look back at, like, you know, movies in the past, movies, TV shows. People love Wonder Woman. People love Ripley from Alien. People love Sarah Connor. Heck, even, like, in cartoons, Gwen from Ben 10, Sam from Danny Phantom, Katara, and Suki from Avatar. Like, you look back, Kim Possible, actually, I just finished watching that recently. Great show. Freaking, like, 20 years old, and, like, that still hits so good. First time I saw it was... that's the first time I watched it. It's like, why is this writing so good? It's like, you put this light. Like, video games. Samus, Metroid. It's like, guys don't dislike female characters. They just dislike poorly written ones.
Smart enough to see right through it. No, the bigger problem was the active sabotage, marginalization, destruction, and outright pussification of the male characters to make way for them. I've been over this kind of thing a million times before, so I'm not going to bore you with all the examples like Han, Luke, Indiana Jones, Thor, Kylo Ren, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Nick Fury, and about 100 others I could name. The list of cultural assassinations is frankly mind-boggling at this point. The point, though, is that instead of becoming more accessible to women, these franchises instead became increasingly hostile towards men, especially young and impressionable men who could really use some positive role models to aspire to. Instead, they find themselves...
Guys crave a positive role model to look up to. We can attach ourselves to, like, anything. Like, that has, like, vaguely heroic, you know, traits. Like, Goku, the Optimus Prime. Like, we can relate to a giant transforming robot. We can relate to a giant nuclear dinosaur. It's legitimately impressive.
Getting lectured, berated, and disrespected by a studio that seemed to actively hate them. And that's the funny thing about young men, you see. They can, and often do, put up with a lot of shit in their daily lives, but the one thing they won't put up with is disrespect. Especially from a fucking company that wants them to part with their hard-earned money for like, privilege. That's the thing. And all these...
This is the escapism. Get it right.
Factors together, and you get a conclusion so simple and obvious that I can't...
Yeah, it's fiction is the escapism. Guys will talk about, you know, the TV shows, the games, the movies, the comics that they love with the guy friend. Like, that's the... Guys can, like, go out without even knowing their name, just talking about, like, basic things like that, and it's like, that is their escapism from the real world, to just have a time and bro out. And it's like, when that is taken away...
I believe I'm even having to say it, but here we are. When you decide to treat half your audience as the enemy,
they'll go somewhere
that's
else
exactly what you turn them into. You really do get what you fucking deserve. And in this case, Disney deserves to lose half their audience because
I think Disney deserves to
just stick around. For this. But you know what? Rather than signing off with some smarmy little fuck you, I want to pull something positive out of this situation, because it seems like even Disney are beginning to acknowledge how badly they've done wrong. Yeah, the admission's only been forced.
Which is honestly... That, I think it's a good sign that Disney is already acknowledging this problem now, but I also think that this is the closest they will get to actually, like, stating we know what the problem is. Because on a fundamental level, companies do not like to admit when they screwed up. It looks very bad for stocks, for profits, for stockholders, for, you know, board of directors. It does not look good to say, yes, we know we effed up, unless it is absolutely required. Disney is still kind of making a profit. Like, I mean, for Star Wars on their own, they're in $33 billion in the hole. People have actually basically calculated it out based on things. They've lost $33 billion on Star Wars. So, most of the money they're pulling in comes from the parks. It doesn't come from movies. It doesn't come from merchandise, because people aren't really buying merchandise anymore from Disney, unless it's inside of the parks. You don't go to like Target or Toys R Us or, other places and buy like a Star Wars figure. They're not really doing that. They go right to the clearance racks because no one wants them. And that's why this is going to need to be like a decade-long plan from Disney to try to rehabilitate their reputation with people, because it takes so long to take an IP from ground zero all the way to a finished product. We know from the James O'Keefe, I believe that's the guy, that, he had undercover people going recording like this Disney high big executive saying, oh yeah, no, we've gotten, pitches for shows from people, but, they're too what? They're too male, and they just reject them. So, they have these ideas. They refuse to act on them. Predator, Killer, Killers. When that came out, Disney pulled out from the cold storage vaults an Alien vs. Predator project they shelved. They had this in there for years. They had this, and they did nothing with it. It boggles the mind.
Out of them by sheer financial necessity, but it's something at least. And never let it be said that the drinker doesn't offer a helping hand to those in need. So if I could offer a few pieces of advice, speaking as someone of the male persuasion here, I'd say they have to come to terms with a few realities about their situation. The first reality is that not everything you make can appeal to everyone, and nor should you try. Movies like Barbie and Top Gun Maverick are proof that when you target a specific audience and give them exactly what they want, without trying to dilute it down in the hopes of appealing to an even bigger market, you can and will make an absolute fortune. The second reality is that any project revolving around adventure, science fiction, action, or technology, like say, I don't know, Star Wars and Marvel, is probably going to skew male. I don't know what to tell you, man, but men and women tend to be interested in different things, and no amount of social conditioning or deconstruction is ever going to change that. And if they're your two biggest franchises that you probably want to resurrect and get profitable again, then you're going to have to accept that your primary demographic is...
I think that those two are dead. I think Marvel and Star Wars are dead as cinematic IPs for the next maybe 10 years. You will need to wait for a generation to pass to have a chance of restarting and resuscitating that, or you need to make just 10 years of banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. You basically need every movie to be Spider-Man No Way Home, Avengers Endgame quality in order and sustain that. Not a single slip-up. And actually, speaking of slip-ups, if they slip up during this whole, trying to create something new to bring men back, they're already not bringing people back. If you have, say 50%, this is being generous, 50% of guys, because guys, they hold on to, when you destroy their fiction, they hold on to that pretty intensely, and they will swear you off. They will basically swear you off. But, hypothetically, 50%. Say 50% of guys come back because, all right, we'll give you a second chance. You screw up once after they have come back, you have lost them all forever. So you're already bringing back a small portion of the people you would have had before, and you need to make it perfect.
Men, and cater the content accordingly. The third reality is that you need to bring back masculine heroes if you want to get a male audience back. And I'm not talking about the safe, feminized, corporate-approved Pedro Pascal brand of masculinity that's basically just a woman with a moustache, but the actual male archetype of masculinity that's been practically outlawed in modern media. Men who are smart, capable, assertive, confident, complex, and maybe even a bit dangerous, who don't resort to verbal diarrhea or fold like a house of cards the moment a woman challenges them on something. Those are the kinds of characters that men have been drawn to for decades, and guess what?
It's not even decades. It is literal centuries. Go back to the Greek epics of heroes, the mythological epics. Gilgamesh, Homer's Odyssey, the Iliad. It's Heracles. You go back all across all cultures. There's a reason why there's a lot of cultures that have stories that have similar elements to their, characters when it comes to the epics. They are universal traits.
They still are, and no amount of guilt-tripping or toxic masculinity bullshit is ever going to change that. The fourth and final reality is that everyone, men and women both, are fucking sick of girl bossies. They are, without a doubt, one of the most obnoxious products of modern culture. They've ruined practically everything they've been crowbarred into, and they have to go. That doesn't mean for one second that you can't have intelligent...
I love Godzilla, who's an unstoppable force of nature, but even then, Godzilla still struggles with things. It's we like the joy of watching a story is seeing the character overcome something, have flaws, and be imperfect.
Complex, capable, and well-written female characters that push and rival their male counterparts. Yeah. In fact, you absolutely should. But the days of one-sided contests where women always have to win
exactly. Let's go back to that.
Fucking sick of girl bosses. They are, without a doubt, one of the most obnoxious products of modern culture. They've ruined practically everything they've been crowbarred into, and they have to go. That doesn't mean for 1 second that you can't have intelligent, complex, capable, and well-written female characters that push and rival their male counterparts. In fact, you absolutely should. But the days of one-sided contests where women always have to win to put men in their place, or invincible power fantasies.
Again, go back, let's look at Alien. Yeah, Ripley, Terminator, you have Sarah Connor. Even like earlier cartoons from like the early 2000s, you've got Teen Titans, Starfire, Raven. You have Katara from Avatar The Last Airbender. You had Sam, Danny Phantom, Kim Possible from Kim Possible. It's like, Gwen from Ben 10. It's like, you have female characters that are beloved, that are complex, that are on their own. They rival the male characters. They were well liked because they were well written.
That are either the writer's revenge fanfiction or walking inferiority complexes are well and truly over. Women don't relate to them, and men, particularly young men, that have been force-fed a diet of this crap for most of their lives, are actively repulsed by anything that has them in it. Now, all of this stuff probably seems completely obvious and common sense to you, but fuck me, it feels like common sense is in short supply in Hollywood these days. But I think the big takeaway from all of this is that men as a demographic are not all that difficult to please. Yeah. Treat them with a bit of respect, give them the things that they enjoy, and you'll be surprised how quickly they come around. On the other hand, ignore and attack them, and well, I think we've seen where that road leads.
That's literally been the last decade of it, yeah. It is...
And well, I think we've seen where that road leads.
I don't think this is gonna work out. Like, I do not believe this is going to work out at all for Disney. It is going to need to be a Herculean effort. The sheer time and monetary investment, and again, the people in Hollywood that are the big names that they will go to are the same people that the creatives that have been basically continuing to get work are the same ones that have been doing everything that Disney has been doing wrong. That is to say nothing. Oh my! I didn't even notice this. I didn't even say this earlier. It's like the people at Disney that are like in charge of everything. They are the same people that will be in charge of this as have been in charge for the last decade. Yeah, this is gonna that's gonna be a whole separate like expansion video discussing all this more because there's way too much to talk about for this. I need to organize it all. But yeah, you are going to have people who are now going to need to make stories, make IPs that are appealing to males that have been actively either complicit or enforcing the degradation of content for males over the last decade. Everything that is antithetical to what they have been doing is now what they are forced to do. Do you really think that is going to go well? It's the same reason why people don't think that it's a good thing to relate back to Godzilla, that people are glad Adam Wingard is gone from Godzilla. They do not believe he would be able to make a good Godzilla-focused story because everything he has been done is to tear down Godzilla for Kong. You are putting people in charge of projects that go against everything that they have been doing. Do you think they can actually succeed? I don't. The only way to actually get this to work is one of two ways, and we'll actually, again, future video on that. But basically, fire everyone, clean house, completely hire top-down new people. Just sweep out everyone and bring in a whole bunch of new people. Or you basically contract out where you bring in a whole bunch of independent, small creatives that have stuff that succeeds on their own, and just, here's the money, we'll cover all the expenses you need, just make more content of what you do. We'll cover the bill. They have zero creative input, and they just let people do what they do. That is a proven success, by the way. That are proven success. But yeah, no, it's a good sign.
Anyway,
it's a good sign.
Go away now.
I love how he ends that.
Check out these deals of the week.
But yeah, no, it is a very good sign that things are beginning to change. It is a very, very good sign, because you would have told me this, a few years ago. There is absolutely no way that I would have thought Disney would have ever basically admitted failure on this. But I'll see you guys next time. If you haven't done already, don't forget to subscribe for more, leave your thoughts, and let us know how you like this reaction sort of thing. I've been Maxello. I'll see you then. Long live the Kaiju King.